All right, where's everybody? We lose Angela, the vice mayor. Okay. All right, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. Ask you to take it down, please. We're going to either have a seat or step back where we can't hear you, please. Guys. Okay. All right, so I think we can begin. If I could ask you, out of respect for the presenter, ask you to please either have a seat or try to be quiet, calm down a little bit. Okay. The second presentation is the Lindsay presentation, and Mr. Hudgens is here to make that. And Bill, you get 45 or 50 minutes, and then the council is going to ask some questions. We took a little longer. I want to be fair to you.
Fantastic.
Well. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Frame, City Council members, citizens of Norfolk, thank you for allowing us to come and present the public places plan to you today. Before we get started, I'd like to make two announcements. The first is that our plan absolutely can preserve the Selden Arcade 100%. We have looked at a variety of ways to incorporate the Selden in ways to celebrate its rich history, and really ways to take advantage of that great space. You'll see one adaptation that Dave Keith here will show today, but we've absolutely gone through a number of iterations and a number of plans that my commitment is Selden Arcade can stay exactly like it is if that's the community's goal. And so please know that. The article in today's paper was not accurate. I just want to be clear about that. Secondly, we will run through our presentation, and we'd like to have all questions at the end if we could. One thing that's kind of nice today is we have two dramatically different approaches to the waterfront. And I think that's somewhat refreshing, if you will. The idea is when we got this RFP in October and November, the request for proposals, we really started with a clean slate. We had no predispositions about what to do with this wonderful waterfront. I went to the other side of Waterside Drive and started talking to the public on that side, and I had an opportunity to meet with over 50 people in that brief period of time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And just to give you an idea of who the people were and the groups, I met with the Downtown Norfolk Council, the Greater Norfolk Corporation, Visit Norfolk, some of the hotel owners and managers, apartment owners and residents. Met with a number of lawyers, a number of bankers, a number of corporate executives. Had one wonderful time meeting with people throughout Norfolk. The one meeting that stands out in all those meetings was an hour and a half that I had to spend with Peter Decker, Mr. Decker. That was inspirational. The opportunity to show him our public places plan for Norfolk and to feed off of his energy and his inspiration for this city, that will be a memory that I will always keep from this journey. The public feedback that we received from MacArthur Center, from some Granby Street merchants and some of the restaurants there, I learned that everybody owns this waterfront. This waterfront is iconic to us. It defines Norfolk. I learned that the MacArthur Center Mall depends on Main Street, depends on the hotel rooms, and is looking for a more dynamic connection. I learned one overriding theme that we learned in Norfolk, that Norfolk is walkable, but it's not connected. Waterside Drive serves as a major disconnect. Main Street, in many ways, serves as a major disconnect. So if there's one theme of our presentation that I'd like you to keep in mind as we walk through this today, the objective is to make Norfolk the most walkable and the most connected town. And we also want to be Norfolk. We absolutely want to be Norfolk. When I had an opportunity to gather those facts from the residents and the folks in Norfolk, I was able to think about who would be the right designer, the right architect for this new vision, this connecting vision. Was looking for an international firm, a firm that may have perspective around the world. Looked for a firm that may have an investment in Norfolk, may want to invest further in downtown Norfolk. I found Clark Nexsen. Dave Keith, Chris Stone are here today from Clark Nexsen, are going to tell you about our vision for Norfolk. Before I do so, I would like to share with you a couple of the comments that we received back. We started in Norfolk, we worked on this plan for Norfolk, and we took it back to several small meetings of Norfolk folks. And we had an opportunity to get a little bit of feedback. And some of that feedback is in the materials that we've handed out. The Norfolk Hotel and Motel Association, the Public Places Plan made some bold recommendations, not the least of which is the location of a state-of-the-art meeting and exhibit space on the former Waterside site. One of our Visit Norfolk consultants had recently made the same recommendation. So the idea for this site came from across the street. General Manager of the MacArthur Center Mall. It's the dynamic connection between the waterfront and the urban core, the new jobs for Main Street, the Clark Nexsen corporate headquarters, and the new tourism infrastructure that has great interest and appeal. From a Granby Street restaurant owner, this is a real opportunity to bring together the long sought-after combination of local and national restaurants and dynamic street-level retail that complements and supports the MacArthur Center Mall. A corporate CEO. This new meeting and exhibit hall in place of Waterside will create an iconic focal point for the community. Having a unique and iconic meeting facility certainly appeals to companies like Norfolk Southern. It makes it more likely that Norfolk Southern and others will choose to host their corporate and even annual meetings in Norfolk. The plan is visionary, comprehensive, and community-based. I'd like to turn it over to Dave Keith to talk about the plan.
Thanks, Bill. Clark Nexsen is about a 92-year-old firm, maybe 93-year-old firm. When I came to Hampton Roads, one of the things that attracted me to the area was really the revitalization that's occurred in downtown Norfolk. But downtown Norfolk and Hampton Roads is really not a design mecca, and it's really hard. I think some of my architect peers are here. It's really hard to attract some of that creative class that Councilman Smigel talked about to Hampton Roads area. One of the things that attracted me was Clark Nexsen's vision, and Mr. Stone is, we've been talking about that for years, but we really solidified it over the years. And that vision is to be the best firm in the nation in architecture and design. Not just one of the best, but to be the best. And frankly, what we've accomplished here in Norfolk, not somewhere else, but here in Norfolk, is the beginning of that. Just a month ago, we were named the 33rd firm, architecture and design firm in the entire nation by Design Intelligence magazine. Now, we do that by attracting some of the best and brightest right here to Norfolk. And it's not easy. We got to compete with New York, Chicago, LA, London, all these great cities. But what we do is we offer them opportunities, and we expose them to what Norfolk has to offer. One of the best ways we've come up with attracting that kind of people to this city is we have a summer research project that we go out and seek out the best and brightest students in America. We've attracted students from Harvard, Yale, Virginia Tech, UVA, Howard, Hampton, Penn State, UPenn, Cal Poly, all over the nation to do this summer research project. One of these summer research projects we did 2 years ago, and you have on your desk right now. It's called Waterside. Well, it just so happens that they chose as their summer research project what to do with this beautiful site. Such an underutilized site in our wonderful waterfront. The city has invested fantastic amount in this beautiful park, and the downtown is revitalized. It's very difficult to get to the wonderful waterfront that we have. If there's two things that came out of this research that are really key, is we've got to better connect this wonderful asset that we have, that no other city has, that they really want. We've got to better connect it to the urban fabric that we have, that's Granby Street, the MacArthur Mall, the New Light Rail, and the residents that we have. And the other thing we have to do is make sure the waterfront is always a public place. It's a place that's open to the public and revitalize the public presence right here on our waterfront and becomes a public amenity for the entire community. And so that's how we started our approach. When Billy came to us, it was really nice that we had done all this research. And it's also really nice that he had an open mind and actually challenged us. Not just, we started with, could we reuse Waterside? Could we make it into a conference center? And if you just look around, I know there's some people out there that can't see, it's not a good conference center. There's columns everywhere. The ceilings aren't high enough to put in the good acoustics it's going to echo. It's not a good conference center. We tried it. We looked at it. It's not something we could do. And so I'm going to walk you through our proposal of what we came up with working with Billy and his group, and ultimately a lot of other key people throughout the city. And it really has evolved. We started with a simple idea in the beginning, and over time with the meetings with the public, it has evolved, and it is flexible. With the challenge with Selden, we've thought of that, and we knew that was an issue, and we've got great ideas on how to save Selden as well. So I'm going to walk you through it. When you look at the site, immediately what you notice is Waterside Drive is a true barrier to the waterfront. And you also notice how wonderful the waterfront looks. I've got pictures of old waterfront pictures, and it doesn't look so wonderful. And this waterfront is fantastic. Now, some of the analysis that we did, we looked at putting entertainment back here. Well, if you think about what you can possibly do, the best place for entertainment is really on the upper northern side of the mall, close to Scope and Chrysler Hall and close to Norva. That would be ideal because it actually connects to the Granby Street and kind of creates the vibrancy that's really already there and actually enlivens that in a way that's connected, not separated. We looked at retail, and probably the most difficult thing to do would be retail. And we really think to create a connectivity of retail to MacArthur Mall down to here is probably unrealistic. We also looked at the civic connections. With the new MacArthur station, there's a great opportunity to connect not only to downtown, but to the entire city of Norfolk. And that connection right now, unfortunately, goes through the service area of Waterside and Sheraton. And honestly, if any proposal that saves Waterside, that'll probably have to remain a service area. We looked at a bunch of different ways, and it's very difficult to pull that back and open it up to the public. So when you combine all these things, what you start to notice, and we have outlined what is proposed in the hope that there would be a hotel proposal on the site at the corner of Granby and Main Street. And that's a key component when we started considering what we could potentially do as we started to look at the development, not only of Waterside, but actually reaching back into the city and into the urban fabric. And so one of the key things we tried to do is to not only look at when we develop the waterside site, compacting the footprint of the building that we propose. We propose to pull it back so that it allows access directly to the waterfront beside Sheridan and between the new conference center, and also enlarges Town Point Park, as well sets back from the current waterfront in a way that a lot more public space is created. Another thing that's depicted here is actually an extension of Martin Lane adjacent to the current Selden all the way up to Plume Lane. And that is shown in green because it's intentionally an extension of the waterfront Town Point Park into the urban fabric and reaching out into the fabric in a way that kind of starts to invite people to our waterfront in a very comfortable and exciting way. Some of the fine-grained components that you'll see is the tourism areas of hotels and office space. There's 2 office components in orange, and the yellow are current tourism hotel units and the new conference center on the waterfront, as well as the new Slover Library, really create, I think, a finer grained connection to the city in a way that's comprehensive. So here, these are the components of our proposal, and what you'll see is the new conference center on the waterfront, a new marina restaurant, waterside, as well as an expansion of the Town Bank building to include an additional office building for Town Bank, Clark Nexon corporate headquarters at the current proposed hotel site, as well as a 200-plus bed hotel and parking structure, as well as amenities such as the children's amenities, as well as the cafe to serve the Slover Library that are currently proposed for the Selden Arcade. And as well, on the backside of the site here, we also have a 120-bed hotel, thinking we'd step down the 300 beds in scale so that we can actually attract that development now instead of waiting for another development to potentially occur that is at the scale that's been proposed for the current site. One key component of this, though, you'll see, is we've really opened up this connector, and it kind of meanders, and that is an elevated park. 2 levels. The first level is more like part of the urban fabric, the city street. The upper level is an elevated park, and you'll start to see some images associated with that. But one key thing it really does is offer the opportunity to create a front yard to the Slover Library. If you imagine the potential of adding the parking garage in Selden to this street, that opening up of that and really creating a front porch, front yard, and breakout space for the library, and connecting this 2-level park to the library, we think is has a lot of potential to celebrate not only the library, but we've also included some additional amenities along the way that celebrate some of the world-class things that Norfolk has. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you on a walk basically from the MacArthur Station to the waterfront, and this is kind of the experience you might have as you come from MacArthur Station. This is the current library site, that a world-class library. This is going to be a fantastic library, and frankly, that's going to be celebrated. This is the existing Selden Arcade. That facade is a new facade, so in this particular iteration, we felt that facade was one that we'd try to just create a memory of the Selden Arcade on this side, and also maintain the historic facade on the Main Street side. But instead of leaving that there, what we're going to do is open up this as a park and create a front yard for the library that the cafe can break out onto. And what you start to see is when the library is in place and we rebuild that arch, much the way they rebuilt the facade, that porch, that front yard really starts to give a proper presence to the library in a way that is very public. But also, that is the gateway to the waterfront. It becomes the gateway to the waterfront. I love Selden. We renovated Selden years back. It's a great place, but it is not a gateway to the waterfront right now. What this also shows is looking the other direction. There's a current Selden Arcade, And what you start to see is from Granby Street, you also get introduced to this gateway to the waterfront and this public park area, and you see the restaurants breaking out into the park, the street cafes. The cafe associated with the library actually has outdoor space now in this park that really kind of allows the library to kind of meander out into the park space and hopefully up onto the levels. And I can see us adding Wi-Fi to the entire second level of this park so that the library can be accessed throughout the park area. And again, this elevated walkway is a sculpted walkway. It's not a traffic highway roadway. It's something that's for pedestrians. And below it, it's sculpted in a way that allows daylight. We've also set back the buildings in a way that makes sure that daylighting comes to the street and we can have those street cafes and the life is continued on the street. This is the current Selden facade. That's the historic facade. We've saved this in total, as well as that main entrance is the main entrance into the facility. And what you see is we've maintained that. The walkway is adjacent to it, and that parkway kind of goes parallel to the current Selden location. One other thing of note for us Clark Nixon folks, this is our new corporate headquarters that we can't wait to move into and bring 350 new creative class right down here. Some of the most creative people in America. This is the view looking the other way down Main Street. And again, there's our headquarters, the new hotel proposal, and ways to get up and down to this walkway. We'll have stairways, we'll have elevators, we'll have ramps, we'll have escalators in certain locations, and it'll be fully accessible to every public person and very open to the public 24/7. What it's not is this. It's not just a people mover. I think the big fear, I hate elevated walkways. They're awful. But generally, when they're conceived, they're just people movers. And they're not very all that pleasant to experience. Even the ones that I'll say have a little bit nicer design are still just people movers. It is not this at all. We have a lot of these. We don't need any more. What it is something more like this. It's a public park. It's wide. It's open. It's got landscaping. Our thoughts are we'd love to celebrate on this walk some of the world-class things Norfolk has to offer. We'd love for the botanical gardens to curate all the gardens on the walkway and actually maintain and curate these and hopefully attract people that visit Norfolk to the gardens that maybe don't have that direct access from downtown. Another thing it's a place to view the city in a lot of different perspectives. And these are images from the High Line in New York, and if you visited that, it's really done amazing things for the street as well as the livelihood of this area in New York. And it's done some really idyllic things. And you can see that walkway can be a place where the botanical gardens and people can come and go and interact. And you can just see the botanical gardens really having a great time with these gardens. What it is it's a people place. Again, these aren't traffic details with VDOT standard handrails and big beams on the underside. It's a place where, the details are such that you've got nice personal handrails and there's details on the walkway. This is a notional sketch kind of between the new hotel and our new headquarters, and you can kind of see some of those types of spaces that we can create. Another thing that I think, one really good example of a type of walkway that's in place is in Tacoma, Washington, which is a very modest economy, not unlike Norfolk. It's not something where they can frivolously spend their money. They had a waterside that was a brownfield that was totally undeveloped for years. And they didn't know what to do with it, but they knew they had a great asset. They decided to put a Chihuly museum and a glass museum, much like the Chrysler Museum has added its glass museum, and this wonderful connector to their downtown. And what this connector does, this is the civic area of downtown, and it goes over 8 lanes of traffic, 4 railroads, and kind of another brownfield area to get them to and connect to the waterfront. And it's a place you have to go. It's a place you have to see. Everybody in town has to go on this bridge. You just have to, because you have to see this, and you have to experience this. I can just imagine the Chrysler Museum installing exhibits along our walkway of either sculpture or the new glass or whatever kind of promotion they could do to attract people not only to their museum but to Norfolk. And this is one of those rooms we've created. We got 2 of these along the way on the walkway, and one of those rooms could be that type of exhibit for the Chrysler. And when you get to the waterfront, the conference center we proposed is not an inward-looking maze of hallways to get you to a bunch of meetings like you experience in so many meeting spaces in America. What it is there's conference space, there's an exhibition hall, there's ballrooms, and there's meeting spaces. At every moment, you're not in those meetings. You get a view of the waterfront or Town Point Park. The way it's designed is you're never going down these hallways. You're actually always experiencing the waterfront and the park. And you start to see what those views and those concourses create is a dramatic waterfront experience that really creates a destination for our waterfront and really creates a public destination in the types of uses that you could put in a center such as this. Alex will go back. But there is a notional Ferris wheel. It's kind of an interesting, fun aside, but it is serious, and we'll get into that in more detail. But that is one of the elements, and the students actually came up with a lot of ideas we didn't include in our proposal. But that is one of the things that we originally didn't include in part of my proposal, but Billy said that was something we really ought to include because it's actually a really dramatic idea. So I want to explain some of the components of the conference center, because I think when you compare it to the potential investment that's being invested in the hotel and conference center, this is where we think our proposal potentially resonates, because the value of this conference center, in contrast to one that you have to stack and compress into a small site, you get a lot more bang for your buck if you isolate it and take it away from a hotel function and a parking garage function and the other functions that are really confined it on a smaller site. So what we've proposed is the first level is an exhibit hall, a very modest scaled exhibit hall, nothing near the scale of Virginia Beach or Hampton. You know, frankly, I think the third-party study said you needed about 50,000 square feet, what I read, of exhibit space. We proposed 30. We didn't want to overdo it. Frankly, in talking to the community and the hoteliers, what they felt was this was the size that they could use today. We're not planning for something that we might be able to attract, not something that it's pie in the sky that maybe Norfolk needs. This is what Norfolk needs today, is what we've heard. And so we've programmed this in a way, we think, and we want to confirm this with the study that we've suggested, that the sizes are right size for Norfolk, not planning for some pie in the sky in the future. So the first floor is 30,000 square feet of exhibit hall. We also have a restaurant component that serves Town Point Park and the people of Town Point Park, and complements, I'll say, the more sit-down type restaurant we have on the marina. This one you can grab a sandwich and go back into the park or go back onto the Overstreet Park, as well as some additional restaurant space that serves more the exhibit hall type space. It is high bay, not near as low as this. You can drive trucks into it. You can drive boats into it and have some really great shows in there, but it's not so large that you have to attract the huge shows that make these things survive. Another key component is the loading area, because the footprint's compressed, is actually fully enclosed. It's not a big service area along that street. It's something that's fully enclosed, and that service area is clean and tidy so the public can use that access to the waterfront. The second level is a series of meeting rooms that are multi-sizes to fulfill some of the meeting space. And then the third level is a fantastic ballroom space, 23,000 square feet. I believe the current Marriott size is 14,000 square feet. And when the mayor presented the other day, I know we could have used all that extra space on a space like this. Another kind of fun component of this ballroom space is Notionally, I have an idea where we can, perhaps the walls that face the water, instead of being permanent walls, they can be walls that we can raise up. And actually that ballroom space can actually break out into the concourse and participate with the waterfront on certain events and certain times, and can be really, really fantastic space that's like no other in any city we've ever visited. This is one of the views of the public space looking towards the new Marina restaurant, as well as it'll have additional rooftop restaurant and a lot of marina upgrades. Along with the development of the site, by creating all this additional public space, what we really wanted to do is to create spaces where families would come and we'd have activities for families and children, as well as, you know, the creative class, I'll call it. And we've got areas where children can play, some fountain areas, but we also have this Ferris wheel that just, it's I think they actually call them wheels of excellence. So indulge me for a second. Hopefully this will work. Now, one of the things you'll notice about the Ferris wheel is it's not open air. It's fully enclosed, can be used year-round. Each cab includes room for 4 adults and 2 children, and it's fully enclosed, and each revolution typically takes 5 to 8 minutes. There's one they put in for the World Cup at Cape Town, South Africa, and they actually planned to do it for 1 year. It's been an amazing success. They did it 3 years ago, and it's still in place, and they keep booking it. It also includes some really kind of unique amenities. They actually have cabs that you can rent out for 45 minutes and have events and catered events inside of the cab. And it really creates a different kind of attraction that potentially the waterfront could really be invigorated with. As well as you can just imagine the views of the city of Norfolk, the waterfront, Portsmouth, the Naval Yard, maybe even Virginia Beach, and what it would create, and the kind of backdrop to festivities, the great festivities we have, as well as the future festivities we could have in our great waterfront. So that's one of the ideas we have for this great waterfront. Another thing we want to celebrate as part of the, I'll say, world-class things that we have here in Norfolk is our zoo. And we have notionally ideas of how to install sculptures, as well as places where perhaps the zoo could bring interactive exhibits, interactive areas, and actually bring some zoo animals that are safe to bring down, of course, and interact with the children as well as adults down here at the waterfront, and promote, again, some of the world-class things we have throughout the city, but maybe they aren't necessarily right here walking distance to downtown. And this is one final view of basically the waterfront restaurant. It's a little too white tablecloth for Billy. I think he wanted us to crack crabs. We do have an area on the top level that I think that we'll definitely be able to do that type of thing. But you can imagine just how fantastic of a great amenity that type of facility could be. And I guess in summary, Billy, in summary, the components, I think I've gone through most of the components, but again, to reiterate, the conference center on the waterfront, the park connector, Town Bank's expansion, office building, Clark Nexon's 120,000 square foot headquarters, 120 bed hotel, and 200 plus bed hotel plus some parking directly adjacent to the Slover Library. And and marina additional amenities. Bill, you want to go through?
Read the next one. Which one would it right on top?
There you go.
Just for an order of magnitude, trying to give perspective about what we've included in our proposal, the drive of the public to connect Norfolk led us to have a vision for this waterfront that was connected to our hotel rooms, that was connected to the businesses, connected to MacArthur Center Mall, connected to Granby Street. So our project is broader than just the waterfront. This slide tries to give a perspective of the Cordish. If you were to compare this, our project, against the Cordish project and what would have been the Westin project or the Signature Hotel at the corner of Granby and Main. Back in 2006, the order of magnitude of investment for that hotel was about $71.5 million in public investment, $50 million of which was going to be the conference center component, a parking garage component. Going up a notch would be the private investment in the hotel component, and then the reinvestment on the waterfront here if we wanted to go back to restaurant and bars. So this appeared to be a total investment of about $161 million. Looking at the ratio of private investment to public investment, looked about 126%. Now turning to the public places plan and what we had envisioned along the walk, along the connection, along the park. First is the Clark Nexxen headquarters. That would be the relocation of 435 jobs. They're currently located near Lee Memorial Hospital in Norfolk. They would all come downtown. This would be their world headquarters. Secondly, Bob Aston's not here with us today, but has helped us in our previous presentation with a commitment to dramatically expand Town Bank and his financial center's presence in downtown Norfolk. We've looked at two different ways of accomplishing that. One would be to expand on his current site, and that's the Decker Building site. And I can promise you that all facades and all of that historic structure will remain. In fact, there's a chapter in my life where my dad worked in that building for about 20 years, and the Wheat Building is precious to me. But it's a great site with an open parking lot on the waterfront. And if you come up and look at our model, you'll get a feel for how we would handle that building. The marina expansion. Our idea with the marina is it needs to be doubled in size, it needs to be privatized, and bring private capital into it, which we're prepared to do. It needs to be a fun experience. It needs to be restaurants on the water, multiple, possibly 2 restaurants on the water. You've seen some of the imagery of Ferris wheel and so forth. We have 2 hotels programmed in our investment. We didn't want to depend on the one full-service 300-room hotel that was originally anticipated back in 2006. We wanted to break that into 2 possible components, a full-service 180 to 250-room hotel and then a smaller, more limited service hotel. Objective being getting the city the assignable rooms that our Tourist Convention and Visitors Bureau says we need to have to be competitive. And that's roughly 1,100 rooms. And so we would fulfill the mission that was originally intended in 2006 to bring those 300 rooms here. So 2 headquarters, 300 rooms of private investment. And then as you look down below, the $85.5 million, yes, we've taken that $50 million that was anticipated in the original Westin high-rise project and brought that investment to the waterfront, expanded it slightly, and you'll see the other private investments here. This is a total investment of $206 million. Private to public ratio of 142%. Just a broad comparison of the scope of the 2 ideas. Certainly, orders of magnitude is the intent. Okay. What's involved in our project? How many jobs will it create? And what sort of annual return on investment would come to the city? 750 to 1,000 permanent jobs. These are architects. These are the creative class. These are jobs, significant jobs. During the construction period, we see 1,500 to 2,000 jobs. The annual tax generated and returned to the city. First, I'd tell you, I absolutely want this audited, and we want to have an open book on all taxes. But we think this is a significant return to the city. $4 to $5 million annually. It's an order of magnitude, I believe, as we calculate, about 6 to 8% return just on your direct investments. Here's a vision of Norfolk when we're able to bring the Town Point Park connection all the way back into town. I think, Chris?
Thanks, Billy. My name is Chris Stone. I'm the president of Clark Nixon. They've asked me to just take 2 minutes tonight and talk maybe from a business perspective about what this means, I think, for the city. A little bit about background about Clark Nixon. We were actually founded in 1920. Clark Nixon moved its headquarters to Hampton Roads in the 1950s to take advantage of some of the growth in the Navy here in the area. But over the past 18 years, we've actually grown very significantly. In 18 years, we've grown from 40 individuals to over 550 professionals. We had one office. In those 18 years, we've now expanded to 9 offices, and we're a Mid-Atlantic company. And our annual revenue actually has grown from $4 million a year to $80 million a year. So it's a significant impact, I think, in the community here in Norfolk. We're not just a Mid-Atlantic firm. We do work all over the country. We do work from Maine all the way to Hawaii. We also do a significant amount of international work as well. We've worked in over 32 foreign countries around the world. It's great when architects get together and they talk about design awards and lists that you're on. And David talked about, we're in the top 200 design firms in the country and the top 50 sustainable and green design firms in the country. But I tell you, the list that I'm probably the most proud of is that a couple years ago we were selected as the #1 best place to work in Hampton Roads. And that means more to me than anything because I think it's something that it speaks about our business and how we treat our employees and how we really relate to the community. For our employees, we really encourage them to give back to the community, whether or not it's a contribution or whether or not it's volunteer work. This led us to actually creating the Clark Nixon Foundation several years ago, and within the past couple of years, we've actually been able to give back to the community over $1 million in donations, and we're extremely proud of that, and we're going to continue to do that. So what the challenge for us is, and we've alluded to this, for us as business people is to attract the best and the brightest. And I have a little bit of an example for that. I'm privileged this year to be the president for the National Society of Professional Engineers. I actually travel around the country and I talk to students about pursuing degrees in STEM education, that's science, technology, engineering, and math, specifically with going into engineering. Because the nation is really right now going through a critical shortage of engineers. And I talk to these young students about going into the profession. I also talk to college students about continuing with the profession. And I was fortunate about 3 weeks ago to be asked to come to the U.S. Naval Academy to speak to the midshipmen about careers in engineering. And a lot of them are already engineering majors. And this really is the best and the brightest. They're not only giving their time in service to their country, but they're giving their time and going into the profession of engineering, which is going to serve us well into the future. But it's the best and the brightest that we're trying to attract here to Hampton Roads. So right now, it's a real struggle for those of us in the profession, and there are other professions that are struggling with this as well too, to try to create an environment which attracts the best and the brightest and the innovative. And we think that something like this project, where we can move our corporate headquarters into a downtown urban environment and bring all of these young professionals down here, certainly is going to speak well for not only the city, but also help us as business leaders.
Thank you, Chris. Wanted to speak briefly about the other members of our team. Clark Nixon mentioned being one of the best places to work. I think at least 4, maybe 5 out of the members of our team have received that award. And some have received it so many times they're not eligible anymore. We're all Norfolk firms. We're all Hampton Roads firms. Clark Nexen, you heard a lot about their story. And I can't help but remember when I was a young child that Clark Nexen was a firm of 25 to 50 employees above People's Drugs, above People Drugstore at Ward's Corner. 550 employees today. That's a Norfolk success story. Town Bank, another partner with us, another success story. 12 years in business, the most successful bank, Virginia Bank. 11 months it took to be profitable. $4.1 million in assets today. And the great part about Town Bank, it's in Norfolk. It's in every city in Hampton Roads. It's my banker. It's one of our key bankers in construction and development projects. They're a partner, a great community partner. Kaufman and Knowles Consulting. Public-privates aren't easy. Their service of strategic alliances and how to bring people together. Doug Smith is a tremendous asset to us and is on our team. The law firm of Kaufman and Knowles is certainly the largest law firm in Hampton Roads and headquartered here on Main Street. W.M. Jordan Company, ranked number one by Virginia Business Magazine as the number one contractor in the state of Virginia. A couple of their other rankings are pretty interesting as well. Nationally, number 52 in the Giant 300 contractors list, number 63 on the Green Contractors list. They're leaders in workforce training, they're leaders in green buildings, and they're leaders in the community. Last on our team is Harvey Lindsay Development Group and Harvey Lindsay Commercial Real Estate. 58 years ago, Harvey joined with his dad, and his dad gave him some simple advice. Keep it small, Harvey. Don't get a large firm. Well, thankfully, Harvey didn't listen to his dad. We have 87 employees today. We have 10 million square feet of space under management and leasing. And Harvey, during his tenure, has been responsible over 6 million square feet of development in every part of Hampton Roads. The last 10 years has been my opportunity to lead our development effort. We've advanced over 2 million square feet of space, over $500 million in development, all built on time and on budget. I'd like to focus on one project that if you'd like to look at what we're capable of, I'd encourage you to look at the City Center at Oyster Point project, a transformational project for the peninsula. One that we did the same exact situation. We partnered with others in the community to move forward on a transformational objective for that community. The result, in 10 years, we've invested $323 million, private and public, to create a new downtown for the peninsula. 5 or 6 different headquarters are there, 550,000 square foot of Class A office space, 200,000 square foot of retail, the likes of Joe Banks, Talbot's, Coldwater Creek, and we have a wonderful objective going now on an entertainment and tourism project for that destination. We also have the Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, the #1 performing hospitality asset between Richmond and Norfolk, the leader in occupancy, leader in daily rates. That project, I'd encourage you. You don't have to go far to see Harvey Lindsay's work. About 45 minutes from here, I'd love to spend a half day with the council or anybody in the crowd and tell the City Center story, because it's been a true public-private, and it's been a real rewarding project for everybody involved, because we created something bigger than ourselves. Norfolk has made great strides in the past by teams just like that, just like the team for public-private, the Public Places Plan. It's been 4 or 5 people that have come to 4 or 5 people or 4 or 5 companies that have come together time and time in its history. This building that we're sitting in is a classic example of that. Back in the early 1980s, people like Dr. Mason Andrews, Harvey Lindsay, David Rice, and many others, Doyle Hull, I remember Doyle Hull doing the numbers. It was teamwork. But today I would like to recognize one person for this building wouldn't have been here 30 years ago. It happens to be a Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority commissioner, the first female commissioner ever to serve the Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority. Her name was Patricia Rouse. Patty married Jim. And together, they made this possible. Patty passed away yesterday. And just want to say to Patty and to Jim, thank you. Thank you so much for Waterside. This facility has done its job and done it very well. Norfolk's done it with EVMS. It's done it with the Norfolk Foundation. Back in the 1960s, a group of businessmen and a maritime attorney raised $2,700 to start the Norfolk Foundation. Today, that's the Hampton Roads Foundation, putting millions into this community on an annual basis. The maritime attorney there was a gentleman by the name of Baron Black, happened to be my grandfather. He saved one of Norfolk's jewels today, the Willoughby Baylor House. That building, built in 1795, he created the Norfolk History Foundation, founded the Norfolk History Foundation to save the Willoughby Baylor House. Today, the Norfolk History Museum is in that location. I can promise you, I cherish Norfolk's history. And no matter whether it's the Wheat Building, the Decker Building, or Selden Arcade, we will honor Norfolk's history if I ever have anything to do with it. Bold plans. We said initially when we submitted this proposal, it was going to take a lot of people by surprise because it is bold. Absolutely bold because we think Norfolk deserves bold. The number one thing we tried to cure or to address is something that hadn't been addressed in our lifetime, and that's that lack of connection from the waterfront across Waterside Drive to Main Street, to Plume Street, to our mall and our assets in our urban core. New York's High Line is a great aspiration for that. It's a park setting, and that we can draw many great ideas, and with the Clark Nexon team, we can deliver a connection in our lifetime that makes the waterfront vibrant for all of us. Lastly, Waterside has been that iconic image on the waterfront for my lifetime and many of yours. It's run its course. It's time for this site. You know, the truth is, this isn't a local site. It is the best site in Hampton Roads. It's a national site. It actually happens to be an international site because Norfolk is an international city. We have the largest naval base in the world here in Norfolk. We have a port that's going to benefit greatly from the expansion of the Panama Canal. We're on a world stage, and this is our opportunity to make a statement to the world. So when I suggest to you the image for this site could be the Sydney Opera House, I really don't think I'm stretching. We're an international city, and we should think big and bold. In closing, I'd encourage us as a community to think about this site. Whatever we do here needs to inspire, needs to define, and it needs to serve as an economic catalyst for every part of our city. Thank you for allowing us to talk to you today.
Any questions?
Be happy to answer any questions, and we certainly would love if anybody is here to come up and look at the model afterwards. It's a fabulous effort by Clark Nexon.
All right, that was a terrific presentation. Thank you very much. There are no questions, and we will stand adjourned. Thanks very much.